Welcome to Pointe To Rise, your podcast that gives you permission to dream big, take messy action, and turn your talent into profit while turning your back on perfection. My name is Susanne, high performance and mindset coach, former international ballerina, profitable entrepreneur, and founder of Pointe To Rise, a movement designed to empower dancers. It is my mission to use my own story as an inspiration for today's generation of dancers. And now sit back, stretch, warm up, or sip your coffee and love learning how much it matters to point at yourself first to rise to all that you are capable of.
Thank you, Beth. And we are back. Hello, my love. As per usual, we have been chatting prior to our recording. So we're going to keep it very short today, as in the introduction and what we're talking about. I really want to dive into our topic today, which is how to show up authentically and build a business that can really have a powerful structure so that when people actually meet you offline, they see the same person that they see online and how that actually translates into money. And I also want to talk about where the arts is right now with that authentically showing up and where the possibilities are, right? So before we start, my love, your week in a nutshell.
Adjusting to some new schedules and a little bit more on my plate. So psychologically, physically, a little draining, and need to adjust some dials, and just getting used to having a little bit more, I guess, structure. And then today is my husband's 4-year sobriety anniversary, so I'm very excited. We're going to be celebrating that today. So I'm super proud of him. And that really, like I said last week, I believe, that event catapulted my personal development growth too. It was literally on this day 4 years ago that we separated. I had no idea, like I wasn't going to see him for 30 days. Couldn't see him. I couldn't visit him. And it was very uncertain for our marriage. And I was left to myself for the first time in many years to say, okay, what are you going to do about yourself? Because you were along for this ride too. And your life was led down this path with your decisions as well. So what are you going to do? And this really, it was only within a few days, somehow I was led back to meditation and Wayne Dyer and law of attraction, and that list goes on. So this was like the little candle spark 4 years ago for me to start taking this journey. So yeah, it's a very reflective day.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. What about you? How's your week?
Oh man, it was amazing because I now see that my schedule is filling up more and more and more, which on the other hand, I'm like, why do I only feel validated that my schedule is full, right? So I really had to see, okay, what story is there actually? Or is the fullness on your schedule, is it necessary? Because it also stresses me out a little bit because I feel like my freedom is taken away. And then on the other hand, how can I really be intentionally what I let in and how I'm planning? And I found myself, I'm not planning really well yet. Like this whole scheduling, living off of my calendar is for me particularly a journey, understanding that this kind of discipline is actually an act of self-love. So a journey for me. So I'm also found myself a little bit in a lack mentality. It's like, if this doesn't come, then I can't do this. And oh my gosh, and what am I going to do? And maybe I should go home, and, maybe I should go get a job, and all of this coming in. And I'm like, oh, whoa. Let's ask a different question. Like, where is this coming from? Why are you thinking this? Why are you tying your worth as a person to making money or not making money? Why am I in this space right now? Like, what is triggering all of this? And I found that I just reached a different level, I think, where I have to once again, and I just did this 2 weeks ago, have a real good visit with my money story and with money as a friend versus a I don't know if he's gonna come back to me kind of relationship. So yeah, that all came in very freshly and recently. And I think when I look back, like all of these feelings would have so bogged me down, not even 2, 3 months ago. I would have been hard on myself and said, oh my gosh, here you are again, still haven't learned your lesson. What are you gonna do about it? Now I'm like, okay, there's still more stuff. There are more layers that I should be dealing with that I haven't looked at. I haven't quite figured out where these stories are coming from and how I can actually rewrite them. Because just telling myself I'm abundant is not really where it's at. Like,
Right.
I removed that. I've done that. Remove that layer. There's more to it. Like, there's more shame that should be uncovered. There are more stories that I am choosing to set myself free of. So totally where I'm at, which in a way totally does tie to our topic today. So let me help you understand why I actually came up with that. So I'm reading this book right now. It's called Be by Jessica Zweig. I found her through a podcast. And even though it is a branding book and how to build your personal brand, her philosophy is that it, you can build whatever you want to, but if you haven't dealt with your issues, with your, she talks about poop, then you will not build a business that is in really alignment with your audience. Your structure is super fragile, and you will not attract the people that you really want to attract. So when I started reading that, it really just opened up my mind to, oh my gosh, is this the reason why we as artists have been, or the arts is still in this kind of chasing mentality, because it actually has not yet learned how to really show up authentically, to be okay with making mistakes, or having a story that maybe enables them to show up in a certain way. Like, she takes an example. She takes, let's say, Howard Schultz. Okay. In his upbringing, I believe, and please forgive me if I'm not, I worked for this company, I should know this. His father, I think, passed away. Forgive me if this is not right. They didn't have health insurance when he was going through. Working class, very little resources, no health insurance. And his father was working his derriere off. Okay. So fast forward, he made this pain actually part of his mission by giving everybody that is in his company or working for Starbucks access to health insurance, because that's part of his story. That's something that shaped him so deeply that he wants to make a difference in other people. So when we look at the arts, I don't think we ever look at how can we make a difference? How can we ever, you know, attract people that need us as dancers, as actors, as singers, as Broadway, whatever you want to call yourself, and whatever um, avenue you are in the performing arts. What really truly matters is how you authentically show up, and not hide who you are. And I feel like the arts really, really, really do a great job in hiding who they are, truly are.
I keep shaking my head.
I know. I'm like, oh.
No, because it was either Friday or Saturday this past week. So 2, 3 days ago, tops. I was doing a 7 levels deep. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. If you haven't, it's getting to the bottom of a question, and where you keep repeating, you keep asking yourself, why is that important to you 7 times? And it really does take that much before something opens up. And what opened up for me is that I never felt like I fit in. And so at a very young age, I put on a persona of what I thought people would like me to be and what would allow people to like me. And I realized that I've carried that through to my mid 30s, where I've always been chasing people. I've always been chasing friends. I never ever felt like I fit in when I was little. I just didn't feel like I never felt like I belonged. I felt like, looking at my family, I was like, where did I come from? I never felt like I belonged with friends. So I was always chasing, which I feel actually is how I ended up in entertainment too. Because I was chasing attention. I'm chasing success. I'm chasing money. I'm chasing business endeavors. I'm chasing friends. I'm chasing partners, all of that. And I realized when I did that 7 levels deep is that's been the biggest conflict, is that I at this point feel like I'm going to burst if I'm not me. And I'm so used to showing up as this version of myself that isn't me. And I didn't really know that because it's been my persona for 3 decades. And it's so relevant to what you just said. And I know that I'm not the only one that's created this kind of persona to fit in or belong or stand out or whatever it is. And I think there's a lot of people in this world that are living under this kind of identity, and we're all chasing essentially like love and peace, because from money, or with money comes peace. So to me, in this world, a lot of times we chase money so we have some freedom, which brings joy and peace. And we are all seeking love, like, in a nutshell, from whatever we're doing, whether it's kind of self-destructive or not. It's because we don't feel that way. So it's really serendipitous that you picked this topic, because that's really what I just identified in myself, is like, I cannot chase people anymore, and I can't be afraid to stand in who I am and receive who's going to come to me, like magnetize who's going to come to me instead of chase. And I know that I'm not the only one. I really think that this industry is very driven in that kind of sense too.
Yeah, because it's chasing. It is always chasing, right? It's chasing attention, audience, money, people, titles, recognition, whatever you want to put in front of that, it is chasing. And it has been chasing for a very, very long time. And I believe that if we're not taking that apart, with the chasing also comes then it's people that are in there are taking that on because they think that is what I have to do. This is what I have to become in order to be a part of it, and a successful part. I mean, let's just take a principal dancer, for example. Like, where else do they go? Like, what's the next step? Not who, but what else are they going to become? Is that the end of the road? But everybody's chasing that title without even thinking that you do that for a couple of years and you'll be exhausted because you don't know what your next growth step is. And it is in us so ingrained that if we are not evolving, we're dying. Right? So, and with that, I think the evolution of the arts, the evolution of artists is not in gaining more knowledge or finding other things to do or building that YouTube channel. No, start with unpacking your story. Start with unpacking who you truly are and who you actually want to be. And that is how you will gain access to people that are your people, that are really, really connecting with you, and that you actually make a difference. Because it's not about chasing the money. It's not about getting all of these accolades and getting it all in the bank. It's not about that. That is a side effect of you being authentically. And if you don't learn that from the beginning, it is so easy to adapt other things that you think the industry is asking you to do. The harder part is showing up authentically.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think we should really truly unpack that word, because it has been thrown around over and over again. And we're saying, oh, I need to show up authentically, which means then I should just air my dirty laundry. Which that's, whoever aligns with that, go for it. It's not my terminology of authentic. Please go ahead and you share.
Yeah, I think there's a misconception with this word because most people aren't. So they don't really know what that means. And so, yeah, I think vulnerability gets misinterpreted with authenticity, like you were saying. I don't feel like we live in a world, quite frankly, just even outside of the arts, that really encourage us to be authentic. They encourage us to find our box and get in it. And if you want to change your mind and be something else, you got to find another box. And everybody wants to be defined. And I think that's where it gets sticky in terms of people finding out who they truly are, because everybody's looking for who they truly are by looking at their options of boxes and where they feel like they resonate. And I think that is the broad biggest stickiness when thinking about, like, am I being authentic? I think that's first and foremost. If you can get beyond that and say, either like me, I don't want to be defined. I don't want you to put me in a box, and I don't want you to label me. And if you do, that's your label, but I'm not going to accept it. So I don't want to label myself. You can have that perception, and then that makes it a lot easier to just be you, because you don't feel as bad about maybe not fitting in to what you see around you. Or otherwise, to just be okay to discover what brings you joy, what you love, what doesn't resonate with you, and be okay if what comes up isn't like what people around you are. I think that's first. It's going within for sure. If you're looking outside at other examples of what you might be, no.
I fully agree. Don't look around and see what box you can fit in. If the box that you're in currently isn't the right one, make your own box. Not even like that box make your pedestal, make your throne, but don't make it a box. Yeah. And I think it's that learning that, or unlearning that, in order to feel worthy, we have to become something that other people want us to become. Right. And here's what it really translates into: that when we become somebody and something that somebody else wants us to be, we now have given our life away, and that other person or industry or whatever gets two and we get none. And that's not the purpose of you being on this earth here. You want to live your own life, and that requires you to show up as yourself. And some people, and I am one of them, I had completely forgotten who that was. I had no idea 3 years ago. Who am I? I have no idea. And I still find it's like, oh, you see me that way? That's interesting. I've never looked at me that way. Like I've never seen that part of myself, just because it is such a hard journey for me personally, to encounter. So authenticity for me means to understand who I am and be fully okay with that. Yeah. And having no shame around showing up like that at all.
Yeah.
Am I quirky? Am I, loud at times? Yes, I am. Do I like to curse? Yes, I do. And just because somebody told me that I can't do that, or it comes across as like silly, or I shouldn't be shining so bright, um, no, no, because we're just dimming our light more and more and more, right?
Yeah.
Did you want to add something?
I think just a little bit elaborating or just piggybacking on what you said is that first for me, I had to decipher what was my own and what came from somebody else like that. You know,
Yeah.
the stories I told myself of my abilities or my inabilities or what type of person I was, actually, I would say 50% of them didn't come from me.
And for me, it was about 80% of those. They didn't come from me. 80% of who I was somebody else, or who I thought I had to be.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I think without having the awareness first, that's a big discovery to see.
So,
I have a fur baby that's really trying to get into some trouble right now. So,
oh, does he want to be on the podcast too? Because we can make space for him. Yeah.
he does. Yeah.
So I'm gonna tie a little bit of a parallel here if you go need to look after the fur baby. When we're looking at artists and the behaviors, and if we're looking at what has really like snuck into the chasing and the expectations, and even when I look around on Instagram nowadays, and I see all of these beautiful souls saying, look at me, look at me, look at me, this is what I can do. I can do 10 pirouettes. And I am just, and getting like 500,000 likes for it. I want to see what you do on a Wednesday afternoon between 1 and 3 p.m. I want to know who you are and what is coming in, and how do you deal with that. And I really don't want to see all of this anymore. Yes, it is the art, but behind that, there is so much more to it. I think that we don't let on to what it actually really means to be an artist. Like, what are the struggles that we're dealing with on a daily basis? And then, okay, let's not blame the directors or the industry, or what can you do? What can I do right now to shift that energy? What can I ask? How can I show up differently so I can give somebody else a permission? Because
Yeah.
if we all were to do that, the industry could not sustain itself anymore with its rules and boundaries and expectations.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think that there's this just overwhelming energy that feels like we all have to be so perfect and we all have to be putting on a show all the time. And now, and please forgive me because I never professionally was properly in the ballet world, but so correct me if I'm wrong, but the last decade or so, now that dance has become a little more mainstream and there are dance shows that mainstream audiences are watching, and dance has kind of expanded a little bit for people who are watching them. This like trick part of dance has come in, and even to what I've observed to the ballet world a bit too, where it's how far from a normal human being can we get, and how crazy can we get, how many pirouettes can we add, how like beyond a regular 180 extension can we get, how crazy can we get with lifts and partnering. And I think that that's led, in my observation, and especially because I wasn't of that YouTube era. I was already in my 20s when that came about. So some of it my body was not going to do what I was watching like 12-year-olds do. So it's kind of like in the generation before that. But in observing the students that were coming up, or even those that I was teaching, is like, the kids would watch the videos and then like feel really bad about themselves if they were nowhere near that capability, or extension or mobility, or and it led to like them always coming to me and saying, how do I do this? Can you teach me how to do this trick? Can you teach me how to do this? And that was like their gauge of worthiness, really, in dance and where they were at. And I had a lot of little ones, teenagers, come to me and say, I don't think I can be a professional dancer because I can't do this kind of stuff that I see. Not understanding that, I was like, guys, I've never done that stuff. No choreographer has ever put that stuff, some kind of jump where I land on my knee from me being 3 feet in the air and then roll on the ground. No one's choreographed that. So don't gauge that as being a professional dancer. So anyway, a little rant, but I think that there's a lot of elements that make us feel inferior in a lot of ways. And then that translates into who we are as a person.
Beautifully said. And it's that the industry has really adapted that so strongly that the more tricks and the more technical things they can put on, and whatever that means, they have to put their dancers through and ask more physical stuff of the, I mean, it's in every industry though, in the performing arts, you know, it's not just dance. That
vocals too. I saw it with singers. Yes. Yeah. Their range
becomes,
and everybody's going higher and scrunching and all this kind of stuff. And it makes people feel, it's inferior because it's about this like subhuman kind of talent that if we don't possess, then we are inferior.
Right. And with this inferiority comes not only unworthiness, but it also becomes this self-doubt that we then do anything and everything possible to just get the job, meaning we work for free or we pay for an internship or right. And that is where I think the boundaries need to be set of every single one, that yes, technique is great and it is some part of being an artist, but what is more so relevant is the soul that goes into the ability to connect with the audience. Because if you don't connect with your audience, you don't have a business. If your audience does not know who you are, they can't really have a relationship with you. And businesses are built on relationships. People buy from people, not from somebody that can do 500 pirouettes or put their leg behind their ears on the other side. We don't connect to this anymore. And this is artists as organization. That is where everybody, I feel, needs to come together and understand that a real good structure of a sustainable business, and this is what we're talking about, how can we move the arts into an actual sustainable kind of place? Show up as you are, make your struggles and your stories, make that your superpower, because it is every single one. And companies have this plethora of people that they can draw from, and they're not using that at all. No, just be here at 10 o'clock, show up in class, do what you need to do. You're not working hard enough. No, use your people. Show your people how and what kind of a superpower they have and how they can together as a unit make the company that they're working at relevant in today's world, and not just in your city, but across the globe for 7.8 billion people. Because I promise you, you will not ever struggle again getting people in your seats, if it's virtually or like literally.
Yeah. And we've said it before, it's the difference of having that invisible energetic barrier where you feel like you're not human. Because I know for me, I felt like that too. Like that's actually why I held on to my career for so long, because I felt, like I said earlier, I didn't feel like I belonged. So then I really wanted to be in that dancer box, because that made me feel like, okay, well, that's why I don't feel like I belong, because I'm special and I'm not like everybody else, and I do something that most people don't do. And so I created that energetic wall to like divide myself from being like what I would say a regular human. And I always use air quotes now. So if you're listening to the podcast, I'm using air quotes because I would my term as like a normal person. I wasn't a normal person.
Right.
And I think that's not just me. I think that that's the energy, invisible energy of the industry, where we aren't really letting people in.
Yeah. Out of fear, right? Out of fear to be seen, actually, something that we think is a weakness, or the industry thinks is a weakness, and that trickles down into every cell of the participants, and the audience perhaps too.
If I post myself doing 8 pirouettes on Instagram, no one's going to ask me like my emotional state from today. They're not going to ask me that. They're going to comment and tell me how fabulous I am that I did 8 pirouettes. And so that helps me. And then I don't have to talk about or think about or face any emotional pain that I'm feeling.
So then really what this is all about is it's just a coping mechanism, right?
Sure.
It's how do you say, it's masking it.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like watching Netflix for 5 hours. It's like eating a tub of peanut butter.
Yeah.
Dancers go back to the studio. Okay, how else can I keep in motion so I don't stop?
Yeah.
And I don't feel the things coming in. And you know what? When you say that, oh my gosh, can I relate to that?
Mm-hmm. If I took from me taking an extra hour to do exercises to improve my extension in an arabesque and get my leg higher, that was an hour more that I didn't have to really face with myself. It was an hour more where then I felt more worthy because my arabesque clocked up another couple inches, whatever it was. But I realize now that all of that was just to distract me. Like I did everything I possibly could to distract from like really just being with myself and getting to know myself at all. I didn't want to get to know myself. I wanted to just be whatever would be likable or castable or
Yeah.
yeah.
It's easier too, right? In a very shallow way, that feels easier, because if I just conform to everybody out there and what they want me to be, I don't have to stand up for myself. I don't have to take the pain from somebody else telling me that, oh, I don't like what you're doing, and therefore questioning my own worthiness.
Exactly. 100%. I don't need to say anything more than that. That last sentence, exactly it.
I want to just put one more thorn in this to this. Yeah. She says in here, and I fully agree. I've never looked at it that way, but it is the truth. The one thing wealthy people have in common, or wealthy organizations, they know exactly what they're worth.
Okay. Yeah.
As a person.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, I 100% agree that artists don't think of them as worthy. Arts organizations don't think of themselves as worthy, and therefore everybody's just keeps chasing and living in this energy of lack. So therefore we're just really justifying the existence of it, and we're masking it with all of these things of look at me, we're so elite, and not many people understand us, and it takes so much work to be an artist, and well, artists are always starving. We just give everything to the art, like no matter what, we give ourselves up so we can produce great art. I think that's complete BS, because we have yet to allow ourselves to sit with what we're actually producing, where we're at, in order to ignite the change. Like, it doesn't need to be hard. It doesn't need to hurt. It does not, you don't have to leave your career as a, with $0 on your bank account, not a place to live, or a roommate when you're 34, and not have a second stream of income just because your company had you work 20 hours a day. And I'm exaggerating. I just really want to make the point that all of this is so 1980, and it is so time to ask different questions. Like, how can we change that? Like, what does it really take? It's not going to take that much. We look at it as, oh my gosh, like, we're here, and success is over here, and how we're going to get there. It's by changing our habits. It's by changing our thoughts. It's by asking questions. It's by taking on a learner's mindset and not taking anything that was here today as granted and promised for tomorrow. And that goes for leaders and the industry and the board members and the people that are supporting the arts, just as much as for everybody that's in there or wants to become.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Okay.
These are big topics.
These are big topics.
Yeah.
I am not in a position anymore where I want to talk about all the things that are going wrong. Like, it is so time for solutions. It is so time to reframe every single thought that's out there, and because that's all it takes.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what we're doing, like,
Right.
literally on a daily basis. And we've just because we've decided to. Yeah.
Everything that is not right is really only a decision away from change.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Now, the journey is the hard stuff. Making the decision is, compared to what the everyday looks like, pretty easy. I would say that showing up for yourself every single day, that's different. Yeah. But that's why you have us, for example. We'll help you through this.
Right.
Yeah. Every Thursday, you can listen to this podcast. We're here for you.
Yeah.
Plug.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I feel complete. I don't know. I have nothing else to add at this point. As a really encouragement, like, there is nothing as powerful as you are. You don't have to hide who you are out of fear that somebody doesn't like you. We are not for everybody. We don't have to be for everybody. But by showing up as you, authentically as you, is where you find the people that are really behind you, beside you, and in front of you. These are the people that you can really count on, regardless of where you are in your life and in your business. And just one more time, every artist is running their own business.
Yeah.
You need to know how to negotiate. You need to know your financials. You need to know how to motivate, inspire yourself, stay in shape, grow, all of this. This is what entrepreneurs do. And that is running your own business, just as a side note. So you are capable. You have everything that you need is truly inside of you. It is a matter of being brave enough and courageous enough to really let that out.
Yeah. Regardless of what anybody else tells you about that or about you.
Yes. Perfect. Well, thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for letting us talk through this and come to the conclusions that we came to. And it actually does mean the world to us, because Matt shared a recent podcast on his Instagram stories, and he tagged us, and it lit me up so much. Like, I cannot tell you what a difference this makes when you know that you just helped one person. You made a difference for one person and gave them the permission to look at their lives in a different way. So if that's you, give us the gift of sharing your takeaways. Give us the gift that we know that we are making a difference in your life. And with that, we are both sending you so much love. I am so excited because I'm going to see Christy in 2 days for the first time ever since we met, almost 2 years ago? No.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, guys. Sending you so much love. Till next time. Bye.
Bye.